guys, welcome back to the Sisterhood Society podcast. In this episode, we're actually going to be introducing our book club to you, which is super exciting. So this will be our first book episode, essentially, and you'll have to wait till the end for us to reveal the book of the month for April. So this podcast episode is going to be all about like why we wanted to do a book club in general. And so we thought we'd go through kind of like the intentionality of what and why we were wanting to do this with you guys. So I came up with a couple of questions that we could discuss just quickly. We're going to suggest some of our favorites that we've read recently, and you're going to get to know each one of our book reading personalities because they're all very different. Like Tara versus Wit versus me. We're all over the spectrum, which is kind of a fun added bonus because you're going to get a lot of different content. So the first question we wanted to talk about is why we got back into reading. So Tara, do you want to go first?
Because I'm required to.
Kind of true though.
I don't read. I haven't read my entire life. I mean, I had to read it like in school, but I didn't read leisurely ever. Like I just not a reader. And then we started 75 Hard and it was a requirement of it. And that was like the hardest piece of it for me initially is the 10 pages. I was like, I'm not gonna make it through 75 days if I have to read 10 pages a day because I fall asleep, I get bored. I would much rather be doing anything else but that. But because they're nonfiction that we're supposed to be reading, it's been a little bit more helpful for me because I've been choosing like personal development books and or like business related ones. And so I have enjoyed that aspect of it because it's gotten me to think through different pieces of the business that I wasn't thinking about before. And so I have actually enjoyed those, as weird as that sounds. But yes, I'm a little nervous for the book club piece of this because I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about a thriller. So
I'm the same way. I'm like, oh man, if I'm going to have to sit and like read a book about personal development and business, I'm like, oh, it's like watching paint dry. But we shall see. Watch we end up like really loving it.
Yeah.
We'll just like swap books all the time. You're like, here, wait, you could really use this.
Yeah. We'll see.
So what got you back into reading?
Okay. So I feel like Kate and I grew up reading tons. Mm-hmm. Like in high school, we would literally go to the Borders Books that was like down the street from our house, and then we would also like hit up the library and like find dollar finds from the library. Didn't they have like a section that you could buy books from?
Well, yeah, and then when we were growing up, the normal public library where we were near, Mom would take us to that library a ton, especially in the summertime because they had like those reading programs. Because our mom was a big reader when we were growing up, so I feel like it was something we were attracted to because of her.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Kate and I would like read like crazy during our summers, and when I had kids, I just kind of got out of the habit of it. But then on our last family trip, Kate like dove back in and handed me a book that she thought I would like, and I loved it. It was November 9th by Colleen Hoover. I love it. Still one of my favorites actually of hers. And from that point on, I've just been inhaling every single book I can possibly get my hands on. I think I'm actually higher than you so far based off of last November to now. Not all of mine are in my Goodreads.
Nice. So I think I'm at 24 for the year.
I'd have to go back and count, but I'm at least there, if not a few past that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so I, like Whitney said, I feel like in my 20s, I kind of paused reading unless I was like on a trip because the three of us, obviously we're building this business and I feel like a lot of my like free time was working. So I guess that's not really free time, but times where I would normally be off, I was working. And so on my honeymoon, I read like 6 books, and anytime we went on a beach vacation, I would like just binge read all these books. But then when I would get back to being home, I wouldn't read at all. And so in the middle of the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic hit, we went to Mexico with Phil's family, and I brought 3 or 4 books with me, and my sister-in-law was reading a thriller called The Woman in the Window, which became like a Netflix series or movie. And I got really interested. I'd never read a thriller before. And I was like, oh, that would be so fun. I'm going to try it. So I read that book. And then that kind of like catapulted catapulted me in 2020 to get back into reading. So I probably read like 15 that year. And then last year, I don't know what it was, but I just like dove head in. I read 47 books in 2021. So my goal this year is 120. And like I said, I've read 24. I have a lot of like books that I've like quarter read or half read. So I mood read a lot. So I feel like if I finish them, I would be a lot further, but sometimes I have a hard time finishing books.
I do not know how you can do that. I am the exact opposite. I can't go on to another book unless I've finished the one that I've started.
Yeah, I don't know what I mean, obviously I know it's like my brain works. Whitney one time said my brain works in zigzags and not in straight lines. And I was like, that is like probably the best way to describe it. And so, but the reason I felt like I picked it up again is because if I watch TV, I need to like do something with my hands. Like we talked about this on another episode. Like I can't like sit idly, and I couldn't find a way to like relax without like wanting to be on my phone or wanting to check email or work messages. And so it was like the only thing that I felt like was like an escapism for me from like a what's the word I'm looking for? Relaxation situation. And when we started having infertility issues, my doctor was like, any way that you can find a way to relax will benefit you, because your body needs to like settle in and have like a better hospitable environment to get pregnant. And so she was just like, figure out a way to take time off and like relax your mind. So that was kind of like my vice. And then there's worse things in life to be addicted to, but that's kind of like where it started.
That actually goes into our next question of how reading has impacted our lives.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I feel like you just stated that. Like,
yeah, I kind of already said my answer.
Yeah, for us, or for me, I use it more to just like, just to relax. That's why I choose very, chill books. And I just like being able to just relax and like read happy endings and like just be like, okay, that's great. Like almost like so like Kate likes thrillers, but she's kind of all over the place with her genres that she likes. But I feel like, when you watch like a scary movie and you have to go like watch a Disney movie afterwards to just like kind of help chill. That's how like I view my reading is it's a Disney movie to my thriller of a life that just allows me to like chill and kind of get back into a happy place. So that's what reading has done for me. I like being able to like have something. I always have a book lined up to read next, and so I always have something to like read while I'm like waiting in line, or I don't know, out and about when Isaac's driving and I can sit in the passenger seat and read. Like that's kind of
You read in the car?
Yeah, I do.
Just driving around town?
Okay, I'm gonna stop revealing little things about me. I'm feeling very vulnerable right now. I'm not sure I want everybody to hear this. All right, Tara, how has reading impacted your life?
I think the biggest thing is that it is because of the types of books I've been reading. I like having something to challenge me. Mm-hmm. I don't love, if I want to like relax, I'm gonna just do it in front of the TV and I can easily fall asleep without hardly any trouble at all. So I don't really feel like I need that kind of relaxation. And so for me, the reading has been nice because it's given me something to like challenge my mind with, more so than using it as a relaxation piece. Because I get bored too easy.
I'm not sure I use it. Well, I mean, I do use it as a relaxation piece, but it's almost like it creates a happy little environment for my brain. Yeah. Because I get anxious, like I get super anxious and like my brain thinks about 100 million different things. And I've got 3 little kids that are like running around screaming. It's just kind of a way for me to kind of focus my attention on something happy and like not anxious. And so for me it's like creating an environment for my brain.
Yes. Well, and I was gonna say too, I feel like the cool thing about reading, one, I learned even 5 minutes a day relieves stress.
Oh, I actually looked this up.
Yeah,
I looked up the like benefits of reading. And yeah, you're right. It reduces stress, it aids sleep, alleviates depression, lengthens lifespan, prevents cognitive decline.
Wow.
Obviously builds vocabulary when you're younger and increases empathy, strengthens the brain. So there's actually a lot of really cool benefits via Google, just a quick Google search of reading.
I feel like there's like the main thing we talk about so much here is the sisterhood community, like that the sisterhood that's been created with this business. And we just wanted one more way to be able to connect with you guys that's like outside of the close. And within sharing, even Whitney like has made friends with Instagram, like sharing books that she's been reading, where people will respond or be like, I'm adding this to my list. And it's kind of become like a sticker in our lives now that we've been sharing so much about what we've been reading. And I can't tell you how many messages we've gotten about people grateful about sharing 75 Hard, which is a health challenge me and Tara are doing, and then also reading, because it's, even though it's something that's like a hobby, it's also really taking care of yourself. It's like a self-care type of thing. So whether you're into thrillers or like Tara's self-help book, or you just want to read a cookbook, like it's cathartic, but then it's also like benefiting you a lot. And I think moms especially have such a hard time prioritizing themselves. And so this is like a really easy thing you can pick up in your life and do and feel like you're putting yourself first. Okay, so favorite genres. Tara, do you want to go first? What do you gravitate towards?
I don't know what genres are specifically, but the last couple that I have read, the first couple that I read before we even started 75 Hard were biographies. So I did Jessica Simpson's, and I listened to on Audible. So Kate and I were listening to that at the same time on vacation. And then I listened to Claudia, or Girl with No Jobs, autobiography. And I liked both of those because they're narrated by them specifically, which I felt like made it more interesting. And then I read Hannah Brown's autobiography, and that was narrated by her too. But then when we started 75 Hard, I did a lot of business books. So they're basically Rich Dad Poor Dad and some of those different ones, where it was giving me like actual tools to like think through ways with the company to like look at different aspects of the business in different ways, and also like, you know, what we can do on a go forward basis, like where we can move the company forward. So I would say I'm basically listening to either biographies or business books at this point.
So she loves a good nonfiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're definitely more of a nonfiction reader.
Which is hilarious because that is like my least favorite genre.
Same. I'm like, oh no.
Like I'm self-help. Nah, like that's not for me. But my genre probably doesn't, you probably won't like, but I typically like fiction. To be more specific, I like romance, but like rom-coms. So
like chick literature is what that's called.
I just like happy endings. I want to know, like in every single book, they always fall in love. Like they always end up getting married. So it's just like reliable to know like this is gonna end well. And I can just count on it and just be like, oh, okay, let's see how it unfolds, you know? And that's what I love. So I love being able to just depend on a really good, happy book. And although I will say there was one book I read that is actually my favorite that doesn't have a happy ending. So we can talk about that too. But that one did not have a happy ending and I still really loved it and ended up being like really impactful. But
Love that.
Typically rom-coms for me.
So I feel like Whit said, I feel like I'm kind of all over the map. And the more you read, I feel like the more you appreciate different genres. Like I feel like when you branch out, then like if I try something I wouldn't normally have tried, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that I liked that. So like I did a memoir earlier this year on Audible that was about it's called Know My Name by Chanel Miller. It was about the Stanford rape case that happened, and she was basically named like Emily Doe and didn't reveal her identity until after the case was over. And I, like, as hard and sad as it was to listen to, I was like, wow, I think I really like memoirs. Like I wouldn't have thought that I would, or like Tara said, liked autobiographies. But I would say the things that I like bounce back and forth between is there's a genre called cozy mystery. which was started by Agatha Christie, who's like the first ever mystery writer. So I love cozy mystery, psychological thrillers, and then I would say probably like contemporary romance would be my third, as far as like what I gravitate towards. But anything like true crime I usually like, but I also like true crime like documentaries. So what I was watching on TV is kind of just switched into like my reading. But yeah, I do feel like I'm enjoying, like one of our cousins was talking about her favorite is literary fiction, which is like character driven, not plot driven. So like it's all about like just the story developing based on the characters instead of the story really moving along. And one of my hottest takes is that I hated Where the Crawdads Sing. And that is like the number one, like everybody is obsessed with that book. And I thought it was horrible. I thought it was so boring. Like we were in this marsh with this girl for like her whole life. And every day she grabs crawdads. And you're like, how many days are we going to wake up with her and fish for crawdads? Like it was just so boring. But like there was like little to no plot. So I think that like I struggle with that because I like things to move along. But I read The Dutch House by Ann Patchett, who owns a bookstore here in Nashville, based on their recommendation. And Rebecca said she liked Ann Patchett. And so, and I enjoyed it. So I don't know, maybe it's just the type of literary fiction, but that's like one of those genres that I feel like no matter how many of them I read, I can't get behind.
You know what would be really cool? And I think would do really well is if we all three got together and wrote a book, like a fiction.
Fiction. Okay.
Yeah, not like a biography. I mean like a fictional book that I think you would really enjoy. But like think about it, all three of our brains put together, we would come out with like the bombest book.
I feel like we'd have to, like the ultimate challenge would be for us to write a fiction Tara would read.
That is true. Would be the ultimate challenge.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I have read some fictions, not a lot, but I have read some, which I did get them for Christmas for Kate, and she has yet to read them.
no, they're on my list.
Dude, she's
Right
got
now I feel like I've been buddy reading things with people, so that's been coming like up to the forefront. And I just had the past like 3 weeks, I haven't hardly had any time to read. Between I'm so sick of my 75 hard workouts. I could just like puke. It's like every night I'm like, oh shoot, I got another 45 minutes. Between that, trying to keep my house clean and running a business, it's just like, it's a lot of work. But anyways, I was going to say, there's a really cute phrase this podcast I listen to uses, and they say what books they want to press into people's hands. Like what books are you very passionate about that you would like to suggest? And they always say, we want to press these into your hands, which is like the ones they love the most. So we thought we would each give you guys 3 suggestions before we did the book reveal. Did I miss a question? Oh, I was going to say, you can answer this with which books. What's your preferred reading method? So e-reader, like a Kindle, on your phone, Audible, or paper book. So Tara, let's do yours first.
And if I don't have Audible, I'd rather have the real book. I don't like reading it on my phone at all, or a Kindle. I just don't. There's something weird about not being able to turn the page. It's very strange to me.
I used to feel that way. I used to be all about the book. And then I got a Kindle, and now I refuse to read a physical book. It's like
it makes so much more sense to just have it so you don't have a bunch of books sitting around.
I can hold it with one hand. Literally, I just like go like this with my thumb to get to the next page. Like, and I can change the lighting, and I can have it sitting there while I'm on the treadmill and just tap it to the next page. It's so nice. And I can make the font bigger or smaller. It's so handy that I can't go back to a book because I can't change. Like, I always have to have a light on if I'm reading at nighttime with a physical book, which bothers Isaac, like whatever, if he wants to go to bed before I finish my chapter. And so it's really nice having, like, I could have a very dimly lit Kindle, and like, it's just, there's something about it that just makes my life easier. And I'm all about things that make my life easier, and that is one of them. But I do love a physical book. Like I like going to bookstores and shopping for books. But then I feel like I would just like carry them home and then like buy them on my Kindle instead.
I was going to say, I said this on my Instagram, but book buying is a different hobby than book reading. Like the like adrenaline rush from buying books is like just as exciting to me as like reading them.
Yeah, well, and like their cover art and like seeing the physical book, and like there's just something about like the tangible, like physical touching of the actual book. It's awesome. I will say I do like having a physical book when I'm traveling. I don't know why that's different than when I'm at home. I don't, there's something psychological about it that I still don't understand, but I do like having one physical book with me while I travel.
So what are some of the 3 favorites that you've read recently? If you were going to talk about.
We haven't asked Kate what her favorite.
I do all 3. So I read in my Kindle, I have physical books, and then I also do Audible. I read in my Kindle sometimes if it's on Kindle Unlimited, because those are free or like included with your subscription. I buy a lot of books, so I like physically having the book with me. And then I use Audible when I go walking. So I kind of double dip or triple dip. I do it all.
Yeah, that actually makes sense too when you said that you've got like multiple books that you've started, but it could be on different platforms.
Right, exactly. So Tara, what's your 3 favorites?
Oh, you want me
to? Or just the 3 that you've read?
Only 3 I've read in my life. The most recent 3 that I've read, or that I would recommend is, so one of them that the first book that I read on 75 Hard was called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's by a guy by Robert Kiyosaki.
Okay.
Anyway, the whole premise of it is that he grew up with 2 different fathers. His biological father, who he calls his poor dad, and his best friend's dad, who he calls his rich dad. And he goes through the thought process of what the both of them taught him as far as their thought process on money. Like one was highly educated and worked for the government and had a government job, and the other one didn't get past like an 8th grade education, and he was a small business owner and very wealthy. So it was like just like the different thought process between what they taught him. So it's just extremely interesting, like how those both played out in his life. And then he had the next book that I read was called Cash Flow Quadrant, and he talks about how there's 4 quadrants of people in life. You're either an employee, you're a small business owner, you're a business owner, or you are a investor. And the whole idea is that you really want, if you want to obtain wealth, you want to get from the small business or employee side over to the business and investor side. Because he was saying, if you're an employee, you work for the system. If you're a small business owner, you are the system. If you are a business owner, you own the system. And if you are an investor, you invest in the system. And so ideally, you want to be on the B and I side rather than the E and S. So those were just super fascinating and very like inspiring. And then my third one that I really enjoyed was the actual 75 Hard book by Andy Frisella. And he is like kind of like a no nonsense, like just shoots it to you straight. And it just got me like reinvigorated for like the 75 Hard program, and just like think across the board, just challenging yourself in life. And like I've realized through the whole program how much time I waste just doing absolutely nothing, like scrolling my phone, like, you know, and making up excuses as to why I can't get things done because I don't have time, when the reality is I just haven't made the time a priority for those things. Like I've chosen not to make them important. And so it's funny that like now since I've read it and realized that that's what I would do, you recognize it with other things in life too, whether it's other people making certain excuses that you're like, oh, I recognize that. Like, it's not that you don't have the time, it's because you just don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, but also, but it just like, I like the idea of not giving myself like so much liberty to, like, if you're not going to do it, just say you're not going to do it because I don't really want to, rather than saying I can't do it, because the reality is I can't.
Just being more honest.
Yeah.
So my top 3 favorite books currently that I've read. I loved The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. That one was so cute and actually made me laugh out loud in some parts, which that's really hard to do in written format. Like, I've read some things where people are like,
I'm very funny in text.
I think so too. But it's hard to do in a book when people are like, this book is hilarious. Like, I've read reviews and I was like, I didn't laugh one time and I thought it was kind of lame. Like, but she is actually really funny and really witty and like sarcastic, and I appreciated it. So The People We Meet on Vacation was a really cute one. In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. That one was so good. I wouldn't necessarily call this a rom-com, so it is a little different of a genre, but it really impacted me the way she wrote too. It was like efficient, and
That's
I
the one you
like.
tried to explain to
Yeah, so
me. And
that
I was
one,
like, I don't get it.
that one, she like gets engaged to her longtime boyfriend, comes home, she falls asleep on the couch. She has this dream. It's like a premonition of something that happened 5 years from then. And it is like the whole time you're trying to figure out like what's gonna happen, what's happening, are they falling in love or blah blah blah. I don't know. It's like it was really good. And then it ended in like a way that you wouldn't have expected. And I don't know. There's something about it where I'm like, wow, this like felt like
She was
like
in the middle of the book and she's like telling me all about it and like all this stuff. And she's like, it's all I can think about. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
yeah, okay. So that's how I knew it was like really getting to me, because I was like, I cannot put this down. I need to know what happens. And anyways, that one was really good. I'm not gonna like spoil it for anybody. And then my third one is Coltie by Marianna Zapata. That one is a rom-com, or is like a romance, but I loved the story and like the way she builds up characters. And then also, if you read her other books, I'm kind of in the process of reading pretty much everything that she's written. But if you read any of her other books, there's a ton of crossover of the characters. If they like mention a character in this book, she probably has written a book about that character. So it's kind of cool because you get like a backstory or like more information the more books that you read of hers, and how they kind of intertwine and connect. But I really loved the storyline in Coltie. I thought that one was really cute.
Love that. Yeah, Coltie was amazing. And Mariana Zapata is on Kindle Unlimited. So like you can read all of her books within your like subscription. Okay. I'll just do the 3 I feel like I get tagged in the most from you guys, like what you've responded to, but also they're like Whitney said, things that stick with me. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is like the most read book off of my recommendations, like the one I get tagged in the most from you guys, and it's by Holly Jackson. A quick overview is just this girl who she's doing her high school like senior project, and there was a murder that happened in their town 5 years ago, and she thinks that whoever was convicted wasn't really the criminal. So she wants to find out who the true killer is, and she creates like a podcast around it. And it's amazing. So the next one I bought, but I ended up listening to it on audio based on like you guys recommending this to me. And the chokehold that Taylor Jenkins Reid has on like the reading community is like unmatched. I don't know if there's like any other author, maybe besides like Colleen Hoover, that more people talk about, but it's for a good reason because she's such a good writer. But this is actually supposed to be like a fan fiction version of Fleetwood Mac. And it is so good on audio. They actually hire like an entire cast of like actors and actresses. And
but
so
like it's like actual Hollywood actors and actresses.
yeah,
So
like real like, names you would know.
Yeah, exactly. It was really cool. And like the main gal that does the voice for Daisy has like such a gravelly like sound voice. She like really sells it.
Yeah, I actually felt like she was the most convincing voice. Like I actually got Mariana Zapata's audio for All Roads Lead Here for my walks, and I hate the narration. Like it's like so cringy to me. And so I like it's almost like ruining the book. So I feel like the narrator can like make or break it for you. But anyways, it's about a band in the 60s and like how they develop. And Daisy Jones was an artist, and then she paired up with the Six. And so it's called Daisy Jones and the Six. They like, so it's like about their story, and it's about like sex, drugs, rock and roll, basically. That's what it's about. Did you finish it on audio?
I haven't yet. On Audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't yet. I'm like halfway through, but yeah, I really, really have liked it so far. That's the only one I would consider on Audible to listen to because of the cast and how they've set it up. Because I'm with you on that, where the narrator can make it or break it for me. And I'm like, I'd rather read this in how I imagine these people like physically reading it is more my style than having to listen to it, because I've listened to several books on Audible and I'm like, man, that narrator drives me bonkers. So I can't do it.
All roads lead here. I should show you guys a sample. The guy that plays the dad, he literally has the lowest voice, but it sounds like he's like, it's not his real voice. And he'll be like, what are you doing here? And it's like, it feels fake. Like, I'm like, you don't actually talk like that in real life. It sounds like they engineered a fake man's voice. Like, it is so weird. I feel like I wasted an Audible credit buying it. But anyways, the last one is, this is one of my favorite thrillers of all time. It's not really a thriller. It's just more like suspenseful. I feel like thriller makes books sound really scary. But basically, this husband and wife, she's an attorney. Her name's Sarah, and she finds out that her husband has been cheating on her, and his mistress is murdered. And it is so good. It is like, so like, it's kind of bigger print, I feel like. And I read this literally in one sitting. Me and Phil went to go pick up bagels, and I had to bring my book with me in the car to get the bagels because I couldn't like put it down. And it has the biggest mic drop ending of any thriller I've ever read. Like, I was just like, whoa, didn't see that coming. So
I'm surprised you didn't say Verity by Colleen Hoover, because that one has a huge like.
Yeah, that's true. That might be a bigger mic drop.
That one. Okay, if you suggest books like that, I'm gonna be annoyed. I'm gonna be so.
It's hard to compare to Verity because Verity had like, there's nothing like that. Like, no thrillers are like that in my mind. Most thrillers are more like it's like a mystery. You're trying to figure out who did it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Verity was definitely one of those ones where I put it down and I'm like, that was not a happy ending. Like, I want my money back.
Okay, so we are going to reveal the book for April. So we'll tell you guys actually the date that you'll want to have this read by, because we're going to have a episode releasing where we're going to go through questions. We're going to have you guys submit questions as well. So before this episode goes up, we'll actually announce the date, like I said, in April, when we'll release the book episode. So let's just be honest, we're having a little discussion before this episode, and we were trying to figure out how we should structure it. And this is so stupid, but in my opinion, I just think it's more fun if it's a book we've all never read and that we can all experience it together. The sisterhood. Whitney, stop smiling. She was gonna pick a book I've already read, and I was like, but I mean, I feel like,
but I haven't read this book, and I want to read it, and I want to read it with other people, and Kate essentially is blocking it because
you know what? We'll read it in May. We'll read it in May.
Will we read it in May?
I'll reread it because that'll be 6 months from when I first read it, and I'll enjoy it.
6 months. Okay, so is that my like time limit? Like, it has to have been 6 months since you first read it.
Don't hold your breath. She still hasn't read the books I got her for Christmas.
Yeah, maybe I'm not as fast of a reader as you think.
Her to be read list is like crazy long. It's like 200 plus books. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think I physically own like 120 that I haven't read. Maybe 100.
Oh my gosh.
At this point. Okay, so here's the book reveal. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so this actually just came out like 2 weeks ago. It's a brand new thriller, psychological thriller called Greenwich Park by Catherine Faulkner. First of all, is this cover not like so pretty?
Really cute.
I love houses with ivy. So yeah, the front says, what?
It looks like
that looks long.
It looks like
but he's like, such a pretty cover, and Tara's like, that looks boring.
She's like, oh crap, how long is it gonna take me to finish that?
Okay, Tara, if you get it on Audible, put it on 1.4. You'll have it in 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, 1.0 or like
to see how many hours it is.
It'll probably say 11, but once you switch the speed, it'll go like half.
What's it called?
Don't use my Audible credits. Buy it yourself.
Oh, it's only $9.99. Must be bad.
Okay, I'm gonna read the synopsis for you guys, and I won't troll your book picks, okay? First of all. Okay, so it says Helen's idyllic life, handsome architect husband, gorgeous Victorian house, and cherished baby on the way after years of trying begins to change the day she attends her first prenatal class and meets Rachel. Rachel's an unpredictable single mother to be. Rachel doesn't seem very maternal. She smokes, drinks, and professes little interest in parenthood. Still, Helen is drawn to her. Maybe Rachel just needs a friend, and to be honest, Helen's a bit lonely herself. Poor Helen. At least Rachel is fun to be with. She makes Helen laugh, invites her confidences, and distracts her from her fears. But Rachel's increasingly erratic behavior is unsettling. And Helen's not the only one who's noticed. Her friends and family begin to suspect that her strange new friend may be linked to their shared history in unexpected ways. When Rachel threatens to expose a past crime that could destroy all of their lives, it becomes very clear that there are more than a few secrets lying beneath the broad-leaved trees and warm lamplight of Greenwich Park. Doesn't that sound riveting?
For the record, it's 384 pages. I prefer my books 200 and under.
It's longer. Yeah, most of the time, most of them are not over 400, but
isn't 400 like when you start getting to like Les Mis and like Moby Dick and stuff like that? Like, isn't that what
Terry's like, for the love of
isn't that considered a novel?
I would say most books average about 340-ish. If it's like 280 pages, I'm like, oh, this is a one sitter.
It's true. Those you can whip out real fast. Tara, on the other hand, I can see
super slow.
I can see her wheels spinning, being like, oh man, what did I sign up for?
But this is what the beauty of this book club is that we're all going to bring very different opinions to the table, because most of the book podcasts you listen to, it's people that really love to read, and Tara really hates to read. So this is actually a very fun experience.
Also, I don't like sad endings. So if you make me sad, I'm going to be annoyed.
Well, thrillers aren't really sad endings. It's very satisfying because you find out what happens. You know,
I'm gonna be like really anxious the entire time, wondering what.
Just rub yourself down with CBD.
I remember when I read Verity, I was texting Kate. I was like, please tell me that she doesn't like pop out and try to kill them. Like, I just cannot handle that. I literally, Kate's like, do you want me to tell you? I was like, yes, please, just like put me out of my misery, because I tell you, the reason I read is because I have an anxious brain.
I would say that I don't think most thrillers like put me on the edge of my seat though. Like, I'm reading Flickr in the Dark right now, which is a book of the month pick, which book of the month, please sponsor us. And also it's about this girl who grew up not knowing her dad was a serial killer. And he gets arrested. He like admits to the crimes and takes a plea deal. And then it's like flashing back and forth between now and the present. And girls start going missing again, of like the same town, the same type of murder, and then like the same age. But her dad's in prison, so it can't be her dad. That's a little bit more like, ooh, that's spooky. Whereas like this is just like some like, you know, suburban moms have some secrets, you know, that's a little bit like less scary in my opinion.
Yes, if we can keep it to like the suburban moms with secrets, I would be really thankful.
Because like I just left spin class and I ran into Rachel at the juice place, and she looks very nefarious. So that's what we're going to be reading. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm very excited for this, and I'm a sucker for a good cover. If the cover is cute, I'm even more so sold. And you know what? The next month is your pick, and you can make me suffer through whatever you want me to pick, whatever you want me to read.
I don't want anybody to suffer. I want us all to be happy.
I can assure you that when you read nonfiction books, you end up happy. There's nothing, there's a good feel good.
Except for, okay, here's my thing with nonfiction. I don't mind biographies. I actually think those are interesting. With self-help books, I walk away feeling like I've got a laundry list of things that I need to change about myself. And I would rather go jump in an ice cold lake. Like, I would rather not do that.
Okay. Well, I don't really like self-help books. Like, I think, yeah, I guess there's a difference between like fiction and self-help.
Okay.
Because I didn't really love, like, everybody, what is it, progress over purpose or purpose over whatever. Remember that one that was
I
like
don't know.
super popular?
That's another thing too, is if the book essentially just sums it up in the title,
Yeah.
I don't need to read the book.
Correct. As I was gonna
Like
say, that's what the
present over perfect. Okay,
present,
I get
maybe
it.
that's what it was. Present over perfect. It literally, that's exactly, it was just like a repeat of that. I read, I don't know, I think I have it on iBook, and I read like the first couple chapters, and I was like,
save myself some time and read the title, and I'm good.
yes, it was
Anyways,
very boring.
No offense to Present Over Perfect. I've never actually read that book.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I don't even know what that book is.
It was popular a couple years ago. I felt like everybody and their brother was reading it, and I thought it was boring, so I didn't finish it.
Well, this is gonna be a very, very honest
Isn't
opinion.
that the point?
Yeah, but I just don't want to hurt the author's feelings.
Sometimes book reviewers, if they're getting sent the book from like the author or the publisher, they want to give a good review. But we have no ties. There's no skin in the game for us. We're just reading.
Just us three.
It's just us.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there wouldn't be any reason for us to not be honest about what we thought, because it's not like someone's paying us to tell everyone that this is a good book.
It's true. And like not every book is going to be everybody's cup of tea. So like ones that I love, you may not like, or I mean, you definitely probably won't like.
You know, the thing about Tara though is you love a 2000s and 90s rom-com. It's just in book form. It will give you the same tingly feeling that You've Got Mail gives you.
I would be opposed to it. Like like The People We Meet on Vacation. I'm sure I would like that. It's just that I don't take the time to read that stuff. I don't make it a priority. It's not that I can't or don't have time. It's that I just don't make it a priority.
But don't you want to be happy?
Happy watching.
Why are you so sad?
No, I wasn't.
I feel like you're happier watching like Love Is Blind than like reading a rom-com.
I'd rather see it visually than have to like. To me, reading feels like work, and that's what I don't love about it. Like to me, it's like something else I have to do. Or is anything else in life, like I can multitask while I do it. And so, or I can just totally veg out. But like if I can't veg out with a book because it's like, it's work. It's like physical work.
I veg out with books.
Like having your brain just
I like my brain
auto
to be,
drive.
exactly. I like, if I'm going to relax, I want to literally be able to numb out and fall asleep. Or just be like totally chill.
It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's actually the different ways that we like interact with reading is actually very telling of our personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Interesting.
It does seem very...
Well, I think that is the end of this book episode. We were like, we're going to do this in 20 minutes, and it's probably been an hour, hasn't it?
It's 45.
No one said we weren't long-winded, so that's fine. But you guys, we really appreciate you watching this episode. We're so excited, or at least I am, to buddy read this with all of you, the Sisterhood. And I hope this lives up to the hype because it's the first book we picked for our special Sisterhood book club. And also there will be book club merch that you guys can purchase as well. So we can all read together while we're wearing our merch sweatshirts. And it's never too late to become part of the book club. So you can pick up a book 1 month or the next month, and you can always join. So
watch me be the one at the end of this. It's like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love to read.
I would be shocked. Like, talk about a thriller, like a suspense. That would be number one.
Could you fathom if I became more of a reader than Kate? That'd be weird.
My brain cannot even like compute that.
I was gonna say I would have a hard time knowing what to do with that, but I'd be very excited because I get to text Whitney all the time about books, and you're always like, well, our cousin was texting us. I was asking her what she got for her vacation. She's like, sorry for all the book talk, Tara. And I was like, it's okay. She's used to it from me and Whitney. She's like, oh.
Taps on through the stories.
Anyways, okay guys, thanks for watching or listening, and follow us on social media. Our Instagram is @Royal&Reese.
Subscribe or leave us a review. We would be forever grateful.
Yes, a 5-star only. If you're gonna leave a different type of review, just move along. But if it's a 5-star, please review with a 5-star. I'm just kidding. Just for that, someone's gonna give me like a 1 star.
Gonna be like that, yeah.
And we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.